Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about 5-star predictions. Were these books 5 stars? And let's pick another round. Let's go. So in this video, we're going to do a very quick wrap up on the books that I picked in my last 5-star predictions video. I will link that if you haven't seen it. It's from several months ago when it was still cold outside. So yeah, it's been a while, but it took me a little bit to get through all 6 of these books. And yeah, were they 5 stars? Did I love them as much as I thought I would? We'll see. And then I've got 5 books we're going to talk about for the next round. I decided to just pick 5. Not 6. I don't know why I kept picking 6, but we're just gonna pick 5. Make it a little bit easier on myself so I can do these a little bit more often. Take that extra book out.
I don't know. Why is that there?
The first book on the list was The Words We Lost by Nicole Deese. I ended up giving this 4 stars. Didn't quite make it to my 5-star level like I thought, but I still really enjoyed it. This is book 1 in her Fog Harbor romance series. Book 2 comes out next year in April. Super excited to get to it. But this is categorized as Christian contemporary romance. But honestly, this book was so much more than that. It touched on grief in such a way that left you filled with hope. If you like books that deal with manuscripts, publishing, writing, all that stuff, you're really going to enjoy this. This was about Ingrid. She is an editor in California and had a hard time on her job with reading manuscripts since the death of her best friend, Cece. And Cece had a brain tumor and passed away before she could publish the last installment in her big fantasy series. It's very popular. And so because of all the trouble that Ingrid is having in her job, it kind of gives her this last chance and says, hey, can you go find her missing manuscript, all this stuff, so we can see what's left. And so she ends up kind of going on this journey to do that. She's not by herself. She's with an old flame, okay, Joel. He comes up, they have a past, okay, and that is actually Cece's cousin. So Joel and Ingrid are forced to work together because it was one of Cece's last wishes. The story kind of goes on from here. So it's almost like a story inside of a story, because you do see some of the past of them all with Cece, and I really like that because it kind of broke up some of the sadder moments of the grief. I think the only reason that this wasn't quite 5 stars is some parts dragged for me and were a little bit slower as far as the pacing, but overall I still really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to read the next book. Nicole Deese really is an auto-buy author for me, so I highly recommend this. Just know it does have that, you know, heavier grief element. She did it so well, and it just touched my heart. I cried in the end. Next book I want to talk about is A Bound Heart by Frantz. I recently talked about this. Friends to Lovers. It gives you Outlander vibes, but it's completely clean and Christian. Love that. It has some good faith elements in here. We have 1700 Scotland and colonial Virginia, and it has this noble Scottish hero. So again, that's all we need to know. But did I give this 5 stars? 4.5. It was so close to a 5-star. Still one of my favorite books of the month that I read this in. It was just great. Friantz, she knows how to transport you to Scotland, and that's what I love about her books. I mean, first of all, we love the cover. Okay, that's what immediately draw me in, because the red-headed girl, the tartan, all the things were here. The castle, yes. Okay, I love it. This was all about Magnus and Lark. They grew up together on the same castle grounds, and Magnus is now the laird there, and Lark is the keeper of the bees, and she's also helping Magnus's wife because she has some fertility issues. Well, one day his wife passes away. The circumstances surrounding her death are suspicious. They feel like Lark is the reason she died. She's on trial. There's all this stuff, and pretty much Magnus and Lark end up getting exiled off the island and sent to the colony of Virginia to work as indentured servants and all this stuff. And Lark has also found herself the caretaker of a newborn little boy. So we see all these like different twists and turns here as they embark in this new beginning for both of them. And it was so close to 5 stars for me. The only reason it wasn't is I wanted more of Lark and Magnus together. There was a little bit too much separation for me personally. Maybe even an epilogue would have probably pushed it to 5 star. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing a little bit more of them together. But again, that is totally fine. Anyway, still a great story. 4.5 stars. Highly recommend for those Scottish lovers out there. Next, I'm trying to be as brief as I can. But next we have Turano, Imagine the Making. Y'all, this book, I gave this 4.5 rounded up to 5 stars. I ended up saying it really is like a 5-star read. So like this is really close to 5 star. So we're going to say it's 5 star. I was looking at my notes and I'm like, I thought I'd give it 5 star anyway. So yeah, great matchmaking story. So much humor, great characters. And it's just a story that's going to reel you in completely. Turano just has that writing style that's just so fun and lighthearted, and everything I need in a book just at the right time, you know. She brings a lot of great witty banter. She brings a lot of great witty banter. I'm trying to enunciate, to the table between these characters. And it's so funny that, like, a lot of times you're like, oh, that's over the top, but it's just so believable at the same time. It's great. Gwendolyn is hired to find the perfect match for Walter Townsend. He's the catch of the season, but is she the perfect match instead? We'll see. He's got kids, all this stuff. It's just a delightful read. Highly recommend. The romance in this is more of like this friendship building, which I really enjoyed to see. You know, I think the reason, now I'm looking at my notes, the reason that I put 4.5, I think, is because I wanted a little bit more of it, their romance developed sooner, but overall I still really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's why. I remember now. But it's still 5 star. It's still close. 5 star, rounded up. 4.5 rounded up. You know, like, that's a small thing. The next book in the series is actually one of my most anticipated fall releases. Cannot wait. I've already signed up to read it. I'm here to read it. I need that book ASAP. The children in this book, they also really make the story. It's just a good time. So yeah, read this book. That's all I can say. This book here we have is 5 Days in Skye by Carla, Laureano. This ended up being 3.5 stars. Rounded it up to 4 on Goodreads, I want to say. So it was really close to a 4-star read. I did enjoy it. There are just some things I didn't love. It's a little bit too insta-lovey for me in here. Because again, 5 days in Skye. It tells you pretty quick. You're like, oh yeah, that's going to be an insta-love story. I should have realized this before I even picked it as a 5-star prediction. Because I hate insta-love. Like, I really do. I do not like it. But it was fine in this. It was okay. I still looked over it. I really liked the setting and the characters. So, in this, we have our main characters of James and Andrea. And it was fun seeing them get to know each other. Lots of sarcasm and flirtatious moments. So, yeah, it was almost kind of rom-com-ish in some parts. Andrea, she went through a lot of hard things. And I like to see how, you know, she came back to the Lord and in her brokenness, and it was just a beautiful moment. And I think that's another reason I still really like the story, because the characters are just so good. And I liked how James, you know, he was willing to be there for her in her brokenness, and he was very understanding about a lot of things with her, and there were some good family characters. So yeah, I don't know that I didn't even say what this was, my bad, but Andrea was working as his hospitality consultant, and she was trying to snag a high profile client, and that is Scottish celebrity chef James McDonald. So that's how they meet. He's working on renovating this family hotel and ends up meeting Andrea. Things going from there. So yeah, they had some really great chemistry together, but I don't like people saying I love you after 5 days. Okay, miss me. But I still really enjoyed it. A lot of mixed feelings here, but it still was good. I am going to continue on in the series. I think I showed y'all. I messed up in that TBR cart though. I said under Scottish stars, this is book 3. I put that on the screen. So I moved book 2, London Tides, on the cart. So yeah, that I am going to read book 2 and see what I think. Now my blog on this one says 4.5, but it really like a 5. So again, I mean, I picked books I liked, right? So, hey, that's what matters, right? I don't know. But this is The Painter's Daughter by Julie Klassen. I gave it 4.5 stars. Rounded up to 5 on Goodreads. So, this really is my favorite Julie Klassen so far. The only reason this was, like, not quite top tier favorite of the year type book is it was just a little too long for me. But I still really like the journey that I made with the characters. So, it's hard to take that as, like, take away from the writing because of that, because I loved every moment pretty much while I was reading it. So I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. It was still great. This truly felt like a Regency TV series or movie. Jane Austen vibes here for sure. Very great Regency romance. Marriage of Convenience, a favorite. Like that, I love that trope. And it's done so well in this. This was set in England, 1815. And we followed okay. We followed Sophie DuPont, and she fell in love with this artist named Wesley. Sophie thought that, you know, Wesley would marry her, and he did not. He ended up taking off. Well, you know, he took off for like some art stuff in Italy, I think it was. The whole twist here is that Sophie was pregnant with Wesley's kid, and so, you know, he gone, and Wesley left behind a big mess. Sorry excuse for him leaving, but like in a letter. But like, again, she didn't tell him, so it would have probably been different if she'd have said something, but like, yeah, he kind of just took off, like I said. So Stephen, which is Wesley's brother, pretty much picks up the pieces and says, hey, I will marry you in name only because we want this child to have the best possible life and everything kind of goes on from there. You know, he's about to go off to war anyway, so he's like, you know, I could end up dying at war, and I want to make sure that you're taken care of. He's just the greatest guy. I love Steven so much. So they get married, and they start getting to know each other, and everything took off from there. Julie told us the best story here. I'm just saying, like, the tea, I mean, the faith, the prayer elements, everything was great. So I highly recommend this. I don't know that I would recommend this to young teens, just because some of the subject matter here with everything that was going on with the pregnancy and stuff, but it's still a really great story. Highly recommend. And the last one is a masterpiece. Okay, what can I say? I tabbed this. We had a vlog recently. You already know this is a favorite of the year, 5-star for sure. I knew pretty much any Francine is going to be 5-star at this point. Hard-hitting, a very emotional story, all the things. I haven't even talked about this in the wrap-up yet, but this had just the most powerful story of healing from trauma through Jesus as your savior. And it was just a beautiful story. Salvation. Had a little bit of this spiritual warfare going on in here as well. Very interesting. I cried. Very well developed characters. All about this LA artist, Roman Velasco, and his new assistant, Grace Moore. Emotional Christian romance. I've already talked a lot about this. I'm not going to go into any much more depth. There's going to be discussion and a wrap up a little bit, but highly recommend you check out my vlog if you haven't, with all of my in-depth thoughts on this book. It's one of my recent vlogs. I love this so much. So that was too much talking, but we're here. So, yeah, all the reviews for these are on my blog because I read them this year and I posted them this year. So I will leave the reviews and the books linked down below so you can check them out if you want to. But yeah, we're going to talk about what's the next books possibly on the list that I think is going to be 5-star, okay? Or at least close, okay? These are fun because you never know what you're going to get. Now, I'm not someone who's like overly critical of books. If I'm really enjoying it, it's all about how I feel, you know, like the writing. I don't normally look a whole lot at writing unless it's like obviously bad, you know what I'm saying? But like if I genuinely am enjoying my time in the book, that is just really a big deal that impacts my writing so much. So I don't know, just a thought there, you know. It's like these books I think I'm really going to genuinely enjoy. Okay, first on the list is a Seaside Wonder, Melissa Tagg. This is book 2 in the Muir Harbor series. Bailey told me, girl, that's going to be 5-star. Like, I ain't talked to her about this in a little bit, but book 3 come out. She said, girl, that first book, but she said, girl, I know that first book, but like that second book. So here, this is the second book. I give the first book 4 stars. I think this one's going to be 5, okay? I'm not going to read the synopsis. I want to go in blind on that, but yeah, I think that's going to be 1. The next one is Sarah Sundin, The Sea Before Us, Sunrise at Normandy. I gave 5 stars to the only Sarah Sundin book I've read. And what was that called? You see me in my brain. What was it called? Okay. To Until Leaves Fall in Paris. And I really think this is going to be a 5-star. My friends have loved the series, and I think it's going to be a good one. You know, 1944, it's a World War II story. Naval officer arrives in London, preparing for the invasion in France. He works closely with Dorothy Fairfax. So we got Wyatt and Dorothy. Okay, that's the characters. My bad, I didn't say his name. They're spending some time together in the pressure cooker of war. Honey, that description. The deepening friendship turns to something more. Both of them have too much to lose to give into love. Uh-oh. So, yeah, we here for this. Okay, I think that will be a 5-star. I really do. At least 4. Between 4 and 5, I can see that. All right, next on the list will be Becca Kinzer, Dear Henry, Love Edith. Christian rom-com. I feel like it's going to be 5-star. All my friends have loved this, so I'm here. I don't know if I've read the synopsis of this, but after a short and difficult marriage, recently widowed Edith has learned her lesson. Forget love, forget marriage. She plans to fill her 30s with adventure. I love characters in their 30s and stories because I'm in my 30s and a second chance at love, hey, we here. As she awaits the final paperwork for a humanitarian trip to South Africa, she accepts a short-term nursing position in a small Midwestern town. The last thing she needs is a handsome local catching her eye. Hey, what I just said? Anyway, Henry, he is not exactly thrilled to have Edith, who assumes he is an elderly widow, dumped on him as a house guest for the summer. But he'd do almost anything for his niece, who is practically like a sister to him, given how close they are in age. Oh, they start exchanging notes, and they think each person's like elderly or something. Is that it? Okay, that's kind of like one of them short stories I read in one of the brides, I want to say. Was it Spring Brides? I feel like it was. I like that storyline. Okay, I forgot. Okay, I remember people talking about that now. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be 5-star. Then we've got A Girl Called Samson, Amy Harmon. I talked about this recently in the TBR cart. I pulled all these from a TBR cart because I need to read them. So this is another incentive. This is set in 1760. Deborah Samson, her father abandons the family and her mother is unable to support them. She is bound out as an indentured servant. She disguises herself as a soldier and enlists in the Continental Army. A lot of my friends have really loved this book. A lot of y'all commented on that video, said you loved Amy Harmon. I cannot wait to read this. All right, and then the last one is book 2 in the Hawthorne House series by Kristi and Hunter, and that is An Elegant Facade. I just know this series is going to be a 5-star series all around. I'm fairly certain. So that's why I put it on the list. And I'm dying to read it. Like, I've really almost picked this up in August, but I think it might be a September or an October read. We will see. So yeah, I'm really wanting to get through this year. Like, all of these are kind of like on my more recent list for the end of the year. We will see how that goes. But yeah, so let me know if you read any of these. Were they 5 stars for you? What you think? You think that I may be wrong on any of these? Let me know. Because y'all know me just as well as I know myself, right? Let me know if you've read any of the books I already talked about at the beginning of this video. Sorry I was kind of long-winded, but yeah, y'all know I like to talk, so we here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye, y'all.